Well, good morning. It's good to be with you on this Friday morning. Hope you are well. I've had a great week. I hope you have exciting plans for the weekend. I don't think, Holly and I were talking. I don't think we've got anything this weekend. Nothing I can think of, which is kind of exciting. So we're just going to be around, probably fiddling around the house, finishing. Well, we're on box now. We just need to figure out where the pictures go. We'll figure that out in time. One day we'll get pictures up on the wall and excited about church Sunday. Preaching on holiness and what it means for us as United Methodists to talk about holiness. And I hope it's a sermon that'll really resonate with what our life should look like with God's grace and God's love. So I would encourage you to join us Sunday for worship. Had a great Sunday last Sunday. A lot of visitors, a lot of students. We're growing, but we still got room for you. So come on. We'll have a seat just for you this Sunday. Today we're going to be reading the golden image. This is a neat story. And we're gonna get to some uh, Monday, the fiery furnace, all the some stories you know quite well from Daniel. So let's read Daniel 3, 1 through 18. The Nebuchadnezzar made a golden statue whose height was 60 cubits and whose width was 6 cubits, and set it on the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent for the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the province, who assembled and come to the dedication of the statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces assembled for the dedication of the statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. They were sitting before the statue that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. The herald proclaimed aloud, "You are commanded, O peoples and nations and languages, that when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, drum, and entire musical ensemble, you are to fall down and worship the golden statue that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be thrown into a furnace of blazing fire." Therefore, as soon as the peoples heard the sounds, the entire musical ensemble, all the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshiped the golden statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. According, Accordingly, at this time, certain Chaldeans came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O live forever, you, O king, have made a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, drum, entire musical ensemble shall fall down and worship the golden statue. Whoever does not fall down and worship shall be thrown into the furnace of blazing fire. There are certain Jews who you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These pay no heed to you, O king. They do not serve your gods, and they do not worship the golden statue that you have set up." The Nebuchadnezzar, in a furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought in. So they brought those men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods, and do not worship the golden statue that I have set up? Now, if you are ready when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, drum, an entire musical ensemble to fall down and worship the statue I have made, well and good. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be thrown into a furnace of blazing fire. And who is the God that will deliver you from out of my hands?" Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to present a defense to you for this matter. If our God, who is able to deliver us from the furnace of the golden furnace of blazing fire and out of your hand, O king, let him deliver us. But let it, but if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods, and we will not worship the golden statue that you have set up." So we see, so in the exile, we've already seen several times in Daniel that there were things that were done to cause the Jews there to conform to the culture they were in, the names, the diets, these type things. And for the Jewish people, the exile was one of the most formative times because that's when they really developed their Jewish identity. In fact, the word Jew was not used until the exile because these exiles were from the southern kingdom of Judah. So while in exile, the word Judah was shortened to Jew. And that's when the word Jew came into play. Is in the time of exile that a lot of the Old Testament canon or books of scripture were kind of canonized or made kind of the formative scriptures. That's it. So this is when the Old Testament was really kind of really brought together. Not all of it, because the prophets and things like that, but the laws, especially the histories and things like that. So it's during this time of exile that their identity was really formed. So as hard as the exile was, it was in that time of exile that their identity was formed. And I think there's something important about that. I think it's our times of trials that form us the most. I don't know that we're really formed as strongly in times of ease. In times of ease, we are not formed as strongly as we are in times of trial. So it was in this time of exile that the Jews really found their identity by not conforming to the ways of Babylon. And so we see here that a statue is made of Nebuchadnezzar. They're called to worship it. Always, I'm 50. So if you're my age or around my age, maybe younger, um, probably to your late 30s, if you grew up in church, you are familiar with the great gift that God gave us of VeggieTales. Um, I still enjoy Phil Vischer and particularly his podcast, The Holy Post. But I always think of the bunny, and I always think of that song where they had to worship the bunny, and it's a retelling of this story with vegetables and a big chocolate bunny, and in that retelling, of course, they did not worship the bunny, and likewise here. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, "No, we're not going to even defend ourselves. We're not going to worship your gods. We're not going to worship this. We are going to maintain our dedication to God and maintain our worship of God and God alone." And when you read the Old Testament, one of the major sins that the people committed quite often was idolatry. And we think of this right here as idolatry. There's this huge golden statue that we've got to worship, and there are times that may be a temptation, I guess you could say, but most of what we are tempted with idolatry is this. Idolatry is that thing. Your idol is that thing that you're tempted to trust in more than God. Whatever that is. Whatever it is that you're tempted to put your faith in more than God. Finances, money, status, power, zip codes, whatever. So here they are basically told, hey, if you're going to be a good Babylonian, if you're going to be a good Chaldean, put aside the gods of your people and worship our gods and worship specifically this statue of Nebuchadnezzar. And they're like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Um, and so if our God's going to deliver us, let him deliver us. But we still will not worship. What I like about this is they don't say, and our God will deliver us. Not what they say. They don't say that. They say, if our God can deliver us from this, let him deliver us. But if not, be it known that we will not serve your gods and not worship the golden statue. So it isn't, they're not saying, yeah, and God's going to do it. They're saying, you know what? Listen, we may die for this. We may, and that's okay. That's okay. Don't want to, but that's okay. They are willing to be true to God no matter what happens. And I think that's why exile forms us. Because exile doesn't always mean that things work out like they should. I mean, we'll read the rest of the story Monday, like Paul Harvey. So we know how it ends. You don't always know how it ends. You don't. And they say, if God delivers us, awesome. But if not, that we're still not going to worship because they had such belief in God and they wanted to glorify Him above all things. So let's stay grounded today in what we know to be true and what shapes and defines us, and that is our faith in Jesus Christ, our love of Him, and our love of neighbor. Stay true to what you know, and don't There's so many forces that want us to worship, find our open allegiance within them. And I always think of I've never found the actual source quote of this, and I don't even know if it exists, but I read it in a book not too long ago, where it was alluded to. Karl Barth, the great theologian, said that the Church of Christ should be an unreliable ally to every earthly force. I love that. The church, we as Christians, we should be an unreliable ally to every earthly force, power, or political party, because our truest allegiance is always in Jesus. And so, let's make sure that we are grounding ourselves in Jesus first, avoiding the idols of this world and the idols of our culture. So, thanks for being with us. Monday, we'll pick up the story and see what happens. So, hey, have a great weekend. Come worship with us Sunday if you're in Starkville. Have a great day. Bye.